Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Amateur Experts Podcast, where we are experts on absolutely nothing. But we're going to try to be amateur experts, at least on a little bit of Week 10 action, to try to help you set your lineups and try to help you make some money on DFS this weekend. Tonight, we've got our Week 10 smasher pass and a sleeper for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, as well as one FanDuel and one DraftKings lineup. So I'm your co-host Andrew, joined by our co-host Jared, and we are missing, unfortunately, our other co-host who normally handles the intro so much more gracefully, Landon Oliver, who is sick tonight, cannot be with us. So hopefully he gets to feeling better. But Jared, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. Doing good. Yeah. Get well, Landon. You killed it, Andrew. You did fine on it.
So I'm glad to see you made it on the other side of the awful Week 9 experience that we all lived through.
Oh, Lord.
That might have been one of the weirdest fantasy football weeks I've ever been a part of, man. It just seemed like everybody underperformed except for James Conner.
Oh, yeah. Before the 3:00 games, I fully expected just to lose everything I played on Sunday, and I somehow broke even. Like literally, I think I lost 50 cents, which is crazy. Like I got saved by playing Justin Herbert. Herbert saved my butt last week, and because I did not play any Josh Allen, and it was a last minute decision. I was like, everybody's playing Josh Allen. The matchup is great, but I want to try something different, and Herbert balled out for me. Thankfully.
It's funny because we were doing our quarterback smash debate live last week. We were like, we could just pick Josh Allen because he's going to smash, and we know that. And then sure enough, nothing that we knew we knew happened. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah, Week 9 that's one of the most wild weeks I can remember. And then like after Sunday, you had all the Odell Beckham thing go down, and
Cam Newton back to Carolina.
I'm for it, man. I think that's a great move.
Oh, I love it, man. Even if just nothing other than pure nostalgia, I'm here for it just for that. Like, it just feels right, man.
Yeah, I think he should be their quarterback. Like, in my personal opinion, I give him a few weeks to get back in there, but
in the contract they gave him, it looks like that's the message they're sending. Like, I think I'm pretty sure PJ Walker's starting this week, just so Cam could get up to speed. But starting week 11, I would be shocked unless he just comes out and looks absolutely awful for the next 4 weeks once he does start and Darnold's able to return. If he even looks somewhat competent, I would expect Cam to finish out the season. Because
I think a lot
has been bad.
I think a lot of the DFS community is gonna. Everyone that was on Jalen Hurts all season long, it might be switched over to Cam Newton.
Yeah,
that's starting now. Yeah, I kind of see it coming.
It's
gonna be fun.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to whenever we get Landon back and we're all three on here together again. I'm really looking forward to having some real good in-depth discussions about OBJ and Cam and all that. That'll be a lot of fun. But this week we've got our Week 10 smasher pass to start it off, and as always, we're going to start with the most important position in fantasy football, which, as everybody knows, is the running back position. So for Week 10, I'm going to handle running backs. I finally made it through tight ends last week, thankfully, and so my reward is to get to talk about the running back position. So running back smash for me this weekend is going to be Leonard Fournette. And this one comes down to a little bit of a combo of volume and matchup. So the Washington football team are in the bottom half of the league in terms of the points they're giving up to the running back position. And I think the Bucs should be in a positive game script early and often coming out of their bye week this week. For whatever reason, Washington was supposed to be a great defense coming into the year. We have had more than enough of a sample size to see that is just not the case. And I think that the Bucs are going to be a well-prepared team coming off their bye. We remember the tear they went on whenever they came out of their bye last year. That was where they really took off and started commanding a lot more respect. The beginning of the year was somewhat of a struggle. But they had the full offseason to work together. They've looked like a well-oiled machine all season, and I do not expect that to change this week. So you take the positive game script, the fact that the workload that Fournette's been seeing in this offense lately, and then the fact that Antonio Brown and Gronk are both confirmed out, and then Chris Godwin is a game time decision as well. So not only should he be getting plenty of carries coming his way, I think he could get a decent amount of targets as well. While he's not like a Gio Bernard, level pass catcher. He hasn't been terrible catching the ball out of the backfield this year. And so, if they do find themselves in obvious pass down situations, I would still expect Gio to siphon those. But I think Fournette should have plenty of opportunities this game as well. So, I mean, you combine, volume, the bad matchup, the targets that, like these guys, the guys I read off that Brady's going to be missing, like those are guys he usually depends on. And so, I mean, no AB, no Gronk, possibly no Godwin. Brady loves him some Leonard Fournette. So, I think it could be a bit weak on the coming up in week 10.
I completely agree, especially to no Gronk for sure. Because if they get down in the red zone, it's going to be Fournette time. There's a lot of good elements in this game. Like Fournette is definitely up there. If Godwin doesn't play, Mike Evans is pretty much a smash,
Mike Evans.
Yeah, like it. And then who's that kid they got? Tyler Johnson.
Yeah. They like him a lot.
Yeah, I think he had like a 20% share last week. He played 20% of their offensive snaps, which is pretty good for his role. Or not last week, but the week before, they were coming off a bye week.
Right.
But Fournette definitely is. Yeah.
We might even get to see rookie Jalen Darden a little bit this weekend. Who knows? I that was somebody that me personally I liked quite a bit. It's like a late NFL round wide receiver. I like Darden quite a bit. So I'm kind of hoping to see him get some snaps too. See what we got there. So Leonard Fournette, running back smash, takes us to our running back pass, which for me this week is going to be James Robinson. And look, this is not me saying James Robinson is a bad player, because that is so far from the truth. He's an incredible talent and he gets a solid amount of volume. So it never feels good. It never feels safe making these kind of calls to running backs that are getting the volume that James Robinson gets. But I don't feel as confident rolling him out there this week. Now, if you have him in redraft, I doubt you have enough better options to not play James Robinson this weekend, but I'm not playing him in DFS, no way. And if I have him in a redraft league, I'm definitely tempering expectations this weekend. The Colts are giving up and it doesn't make sense. An incredibly low 16 points per game to the running back position over the last 5 weeks, I think is what it was. And that includes matchups against the Ravens, the 49ers, the Titans. Like, you're talking about three of the best running offenses in football, and they're giving up the least amount of points to the running back position over the last 5 weeks. And if those teams and what they're able to scheme up and what they're able to do on the ground on a week-to-week basis, we're not able to see any success against this Colts running defense, I'm not going to bet on James Robinson doing it either. So, you're probably running him out there in redraft, but DFS, there's no way I'm putting him in a lineup this weekend. If he hits, I'm just going to have to miss out on the production.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. The Colts definitely have been they've definitely not been good against the pass this season, but the run is the one area that they have completely just stomped in the ground. Derrick Henry, I know he got hurt in the previous game they played against Indianapolis, but in the first game, Derrick Henry didn't even score a touchdown. And if you keep Derrick Henry out of the end zone, then that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's saying something without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. They do not give up points to running back. And James Robinson's a great player, but I believe I'm definitely with you on that too on a pass on this week.
So someone that you might be able to turn to if you do have the option and might have the chance of having a big week this weekend for our running back sleeper is going to be Devin Singletary. Now, something to take note of here and to pay attention to, Zach Moss, who did not practice this week up until today, was able to shed his non-contact jersey during practice on Fridays, the night that we're recording this. But with that being his only practice he got in on the week, even if he was to be active, I'm not sure what kind of role Zach Moss would have. So I think there's a decent chance we see, a little bit of Devin Singletary this weekend, which we haven't been able to say much this year. But, I mean, look, I know the Bills lost to the Jags last weekend, and I know saying they should be in a positive game script against the Jets might not feel like as much of a certainty as it would have 2 weeks ago if I would have said it, but I'm not panicking too much on that game. It was a weird game. It was one of a lot of weird games last weekend, and I still believe in the Bills. I still believe in the Bills offense, and I do expect them to handle the Jets. And on top of that, the Jets are giving up a unimaginable 41 points per week over the last 5 weeks to the running back position. Like they are bleeding points to the running back position. And the reality is most teams don't have to throw because they're usually handily beating the Jets. And so I do think somebody gets it done on the ground this weekend. It does lower his upside a little bit if Zach Moss is active, because I would expect him to get some touches. But Devin Singletary is a guy that, unless your league has been paying attention to the situation and had the bench spot, he might still be out there in some leagues, and he might be somebody you can throw in your DFS lineup in the back of it as well to try to save some money. So, a little bit more risk with this choice now that Zach Moss did get a practice in, but still someone that I think could get some production, especially just with the pure fact that there should be plenty of running back touches to go around against the Jets this weekend. So Devin Singletary, running back sleeper of the week for me.
Yeah, and to follow up on that too, I think from what I read too, Zach Moss, his practice was literally on a bike.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so signs are definitely pointing to him not playing, especially coming off a concussion. Like they're really particular about that. More and more with everything going on with CTEs and everything.
Right. Yeah.
But
I mean, with them, I don't know if NFL teams think about it like this, but like, and
they're playing the Jets.
Right. They might have said that last week. Like, we're just playing the Jags this week, and then they lost. So I mean, I don't know if they think about it this way, but like, do they really need Zach Moss to have a better chance of beating the Jets? So like, if it's on the fence, why not just let him sit for another week and bring him back to full strength in week 11?
That was an off week. I mean, it's not like Jacksonville blew them out either. They just didn't score any points. Like, I mean, there was nothing but field goals in the game. Like, right. I'm pretty sure there was not a single.
That's all it was. Yeah, 3 field goals in the entire game.
So I think it's a fluke. I think Buffalo's just fine.
All right, so that wraps up the running back position, and I will hand it off to you to handle the wide receiver position.
All right. So the smash play of the week is none other than Mike Williams. He has not been the Mike Williams of the first few weeks of the season where he was getting all the targets and was hogging the ball from Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's definitely been taking over a little bit more, and they've been utilizing him a lot more in the passing game. However, Keenan Allen is still limping around. He's got a little bit of an injury. They are playing a Minnesota Vikings defense that gives up a ton of yards through the air. The game script is it's excellent for this game. Like literally every single player in a white purple jersey is relevant for fantasy because it's the Vegas spread on it. It's the closest spread with the highest point total as well. Ooh. So yeah, there's so many good plays in this game, but I think Mike Williams, with his ability to go deep and just can blow up an entire game with one big play, I think he's a smash this week.
Yeah, I mean, no Daniel Hunter for the Vikings, so the pass rush isn't going to be near as effective, which is going to give Herbert plenty of time to let Mike Williams get down the field, let Herbert use that big arm. And I don't think there's a DB on that Vikings secondary that can keep up with Mike Williams or jump with Mike Williams. So, yeah, I agree. I think that this is, he exploded on the scene early in the season, has had a couple down weeks, but I think this is the week that he gets back on track.
I hope so.
So, wide receiver pass, who you got for us?
Yeah, so as we always kind of open up with these, like this one right here, I was kind of on the fence with because his production has not been there, but like DeAndre Hopkins is still a stud. Like he is still an elite wide receiver 1 for any team.
Absolutely.
The target share has not been there, and I think he's been banged up all season. I think his injuries have kind of caught up to him this year. Kyler Murray is a game time decision for Arizona this week as well. And they played extremely well. Colt McCoy at quarterback last week. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kyler sat out another week and let Colt McCoy get to start again. And I just don't, it's hard to trust DeAndre Hopkins right now with the amount of target share he's seeing, and just the explosiveness has not been there.
Right. Yeah, the targets are definitely down. If Kyler is healthy, he still has been spreading the ball around a lot more this year. And then you combine that with the fact that you have to think that he's probably going to get shadowed by Stephon Gilmore if he is healthy.
Yeah,
like I would imagine.
It's definitely fade Hopkins week.
Like I don't know if you heard this, but I thought it really surprised me and kind of impressed me that 2 weeks ago, whenever Carolina played Atlanta, Kyle Pitts was shadowed by Stephon Gilmore. And the reason that happened is Stephon Gilmore came to the coaching staff and said, I want Pitts, put me on Pitts. Like there was no Calvin Ridley, and
He
so
wants
like,
number one.
yeah, like
I
he's
respect
about
that.
that. Yeah, he wants it. So I would imagine if that was the case against Pitts, it would be the case against Hopkins. So, even if he was getting the targets he used to be getting, that's no easy matchup to deal with on every single snap. So yeah, I think that buyer beware on Hopkins this weekend, especially if Kyler isn't playing.
Yeah, I just don't like Carolina. Carolina has not been great this season, but that defense at the beginning of the year, I do believe, is kind of still that defense.
Yeah, it's been stingy.
It's been very stingy, and yeah, Gilmore, he's a tough matchup. But the sleeper of the week, so we had a pass on the running game with James Robinson. My God, Marvin Jones needs to come through. It's been forever.
It's time. Yeah.
The target share is there. I believe he still is the best receiver on that roster, and I like Laviska Shenault as much as everyone else. He was the darling before the season started,
Yeah, I
but
was on that. I was on that ship too, man.
there was a lot of people on there. But I do believe Trevor Lawrence has a good game. We'll get to
We'll
that
talk
in a
about
little
him
bit.
shortly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prematurely there. But there's some good elements in this too. And Indy does an extremely good job at shutting down the run, but they are not good against especially deep threat receivers. And if Jones can muster up some yards down the field, he can be in for a big day. And it can go completely under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the Colts gave up the most fantasy points to the wide receiver position to the Jets last week. Like as a whole, as the wide receiver position as a whole, they gave up the most amount of points. They were top 10 2 weeks ago against the Titans. And then 5 weeks ago against Baltimore, they were top 5. So yeah, the secondary has definitely been giving up some fantasy points. So
They've been picked on for sure.
right. Yeah. So I mean, Marvin Jones, he's a talented, and he's starting to follow that Marvin Jones mold where like early in the year he was looking like he was going to be a weekly startable asset, but now he's had some down weeks. So now he's found his way to people's bench, and he's found his way to people's bench just in time for him to give you like 3 touchdowns, and you have 30 points sitting on your bench this weekend. This is the Marvin Jones saga that we've been dealing with ever since he was doing this to us in Detroit. So it
Oh
makes a
yeah.
lot of sense. It's going to be right on time.
Yeah, and when he has good games too, he produces pretty well. Like he can hit 20 points. Early in the season, he was having an extremely efficient like the first few weeks, and then it dropped off. But I do have faith in the fact that Robinson is going to struggle, and I think they're going to have to throw the ball. So I definitely think Marvin Jones is the route to go.
I agree. All right, so moving on to everybody's favorite position in fantasy football that you're
Oh
also
lordy.
covering for us this week. Go ahead and hit us with that tight end smash.
All right. So the smash is Mr. Schultz, who I believe there at the end of the day, there's no other options in tight end for the Cowboys. This guy he is the man, and his target share has been excellent the last few weeks. Cowboys they're an impressive offense. They can beat you in so many ways. And Schultz has been able to get open. Like Dak trusts Schultz a lot to get open for him and continue plays. And he's a red zone factor as well at tight end. So for all those reasons, and primarily the biggest part of it is it's a very, very, very prolific offense with one guy in that position at the end of the day. So he is definitely my smash for the week. I can't even talk.
Yeah, and I mean, like on paper, Atlanta might look like a tough matchup for fantasy tight ends, but the reality is the teams that they've played that they do well against the tight end position, they just simply don't use the tight end. Like you had last week, they had the New Orleans Saints who have not been using the tight end this year. The week before that, they had the Carolina Panthers who have not been using the tight end position this year. They shipped off the only usable tight end, and we'll talk about him shortly. But 3 weeks ago, whenever they played the Miami Dolphins, and we know about how great Mike Gesicki's been, they gave up the most points to the tight end position that week. Week 1 against the Eagles, they gave up the 7th most points. They had Goddard and Ertz. I don't know if Ertz played that week or not, but they have an established tight end. Week 2 was one of the huge Gronk weeks to kick off the year, and then I mean, if they play a team that has an established tight end and a team that uses the tight end, they're very capable of giving up the points. It's just, kind of been a luck of the schedule to make it look like they don't give up a ton of points. But whenever the schedule lines up, whenever they have to deal with a tight end that can make plays, they don't tend to stop them. So, and I think this could be if Atlanta can keep up, I think this could be a pretty high scoring game this weekend.
I think Atlanta is going to keep up.
The offenses look good even without Calvin
Yeah,
Ridley.
they've been playing a lot better than what I thought.
I think they're a playoff team right now.
Them in New Orleans, they're like right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I would have never especially like New Orleans went through so many different kinds of injuries too all season. They're right there, man. It's crazy to think that. So the pass of the week, this one right here, there's multiple elements to this. One, this game could easily get out of hand, and to a point where that's kind of why we were big on Devin Singletary, to where Buffalo can run the football and just run out clock. They can get up early. Plus, this guy has a broken hand, and he's going to go out there and play on Sunday. I don't trust Dawson Knox. He was great when he was fully healthy. He has some really productive weeks, but I think with the injury and just the game script for this game, I don't like Knox in this position.
Yeah, it's definitely risky to throw him in there his first week back. I would definitely prefer to do the wait and see approach. I mean, the matchup is there. And early on in the year, he looked really good, but it's so hard to predict what his snap count's going to be like, if they really even need him in this game. I mean, they've got, it's not like they're lacking people to catch the ball, between.
No.
I don't know if Cole Beasley's going to play. I know he was kind of questionable, but between Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders and then the running backs they have, I think that they would be fine. So yeah, it would definitely be risky to be playing him this weekend with his first week back for sure.
I think he'll be on snap count. Normally they ease people back in, especially after injury where you've missed multiple weeks. I don't see him playing a full snap count.
Yeah.
Don't see it. But the sleeper, I think we're going to go back to the well again. We're going to go with Mr. Dan Arnold, Jacksonville tight end. End of the day, we've got a lot of correlation going on for picks here, but
yeah,
we're fading the run game in Jacksonville. We're going straight with passing. Dan Arnold he's an athletic tight end, and it seems like him and Trevor Lawrence have been clicking. I can definitely see Arnold getting in the end zone this week. Indy has a lot more trouble with the wide receivers due to tight end, but Arnold is one of those kind of players where he's athletic enough to line up at receiver. It's not a all the time thing, but he can do it. And I like the matchup this week against Indianapolis.
Yeah. There's a lot to like there with the matchup and the fact that they're probably going to be playing catch up. I would imagine, especially with how well the Colts have been playing, I would imagine they get out to a healthy lead and they play catch up. So, yeah, and his target share has been out of this world, man. So
yeah,
a lot to love with Dan Arnold ever since he arrived in Jacksonville. All right, so the position we probably struggled with most as a podcast over the last several weeks now is not the tight end position, surprisingly, but the quarterback position. So here we go, quarterback smash. I'm going with Dak. Look, there's no way to sugarcoat it. The Cowboys offense looked terrible against Denver last week. It was another one to add to the list of really weird games. Dak himself did salvage his awful fantasy week with 2 garbage time touchdowns. So that made his numbers look better. But if you watch the games, it was not pretty. So you might be a little bit nervous about Dak coming off of that ugly performance. Don't be. The Falcons are giving up the 5th most points to the quarterback position on a weekly basis, and Dak should have his full arsenal of weapons now that Gallup is making his return, short of Blake Jarwin, but Dalton Schultz can handle the tight end load by himself. So I think with the potential of this being a high scoring game and the matchup that he has against that Atlanta secondary, I think that, short of AJ Terrell, look, we beat up on Atlanta a lot, but AJ Terrell has been tremendous this year. So he does deserve some credit, but look, short of that, this Atlanta defense is very beatable. So I do expect Dak to have a great game this week. And he's our YouTube thumbnail this weekend, so he needs to come through to make us look good.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head too with Prescott. let's say say the Cowboys have 2 bad weeks. Dak gets there in garbage time no matter what. So for
Right.
fantasy, like you're safe with Dak Prescott, but he also his ceiling is so high. And anytime you play in a dome, like you're just there's so many different elements.
Yeah,
Um,
those games just move faster, man.
they do, and Atlanta's used to playing at their Atlanta's a dome, Dallas a dome. So both these teams are used to playing that style. This
Right.
could be a track meet, like
I
you
hope it is. I'm
literally.
looking forward to this game, man. This is one of the games I had written down to watch this weekend. So like
It's
to
gonna
make
be
sure I was
fun.
sitting down to watch this one, not like watching like watching film or highlights or anything. I want to be in front of a TV for this one. So
Heck yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
so quarterback smash. I am going over to Baker Mayfield, and I had to go with this picture since he's the or quarterback pass. Sorry, since he's the pass for this weekend. He was a top 12 fantasy quarterback just 1 week ago, and the better without OBJ narrative was alive and well. Once again, now that OBJ was off the team, he's a top 12 fantasy quarterback again. And so you might be feeling like you can start Baker Mayfield for fantasy football purposes. And I would suggest looking at other options this week. The Patriots defense has been looking really solid as of late, and they're giving up the fifth least amount of points to the quarterback position this year. So this is a game that just in general I'm not excited about for fantasy purposes. I do expect to see a lot of Dearness Johnson with no Nick Chubb, still no Kareem Hunt, and the one game we did get to see Dearness Johnson be featured as the Browns running back against the Broncos, he looked fantastic. So I'm comfortable playing him. But outside of that, there's really not many players that I'm really excited about this weekend. Playing, in this Patriots Browns game, I think this could be one of, if not the most low scoring game of the week. Um, and if that comes to fruition, it's going to be tough for Baker Mayfield to have a good game. So, I know the better without OBJ narrative is out there, and I know it's alive and well once again after he had a good week, especially for fantasy purposes last week. But I'm fading Baker this weekend.
I'm with you. I feel like the pace of this game is going to be really slow.
Yeah.
Belichick's going to try to take out Jarvis Landry and basically all the key players. Dearness Johnson's definitely in play. I would be hesitant on that a little bit too. I just feel if anything, Dearness Johnson's definitely the play in this game. But I think New England's going to win this game, and I think it's going to be extremely low scoring.
Yeah, I agree. So the quarterback sleeper who, we look at Fantasy Pros expert consensus rankings, we reference those on a weekly basis as just, something that we can kind of go off of since it brings in so many different people's rankings and
For
combines them into
Jaguars
one.
fans this week.
Yeah, right. Um, this guy, Trevor Lawrence, is actually below Baker Mayfield in their expert consensus rankings and is all the way down at quarterback 22 this week, I believe. And I just don't see him finishing that low on the week. The Colts are currently giving up the third most points to the quarterback position on a weekly basis, and they're fresh off a week 9 performance that provided the number 4 quarterback on the week in Josh Johnson, who didn't even start the game. And if you actually combine the points that Mike White had before he went out with Josh Johnson, that would have been the number 1 quarterback on the week. And those guys are not Trevor Lawrence. So I do expect the Colts to be leading this game. I think the Colts win this game. But that just means that Trevor Lawrence is going to be in catch-up mode. He's going to, be playing from behind and should be throwing the ball plenty. And, as we've already talked about, with Marvin Jones and with Dan Arnold, this Colts pass defense is beatable. And if we like Marvin Jones this week, if we like Dan Arnold this week, we kind of got to like Trevor Lawrence this week too. So, the game flow and the matchup and the fact that he was surprisingly buried so low in those rankings this week, I felt like I needed to bring his name up. So quarterback sleeper of the week for me is Mr. number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence.
I think he has the best week he's had all season this week. I think the linings there coming off a big win. I could see this game being closer than what I want it to be as a Colts fan. Indianapolis lets teams hang around. Like even in that Jets game, they ended up blowing the doors off of like semi late. They trailed in that game at one point, and they were letting Mike White go out there without Corey Davis and just out there slinging it all over the place. I think Jacksonville, they got a little bit of confidence. I think their defense has got some young studs on it. I think this game could be competitive.
It'd be interesting to see for sure. I mean, the Jags are on somewhat of a roll, at least compared to what early season looked like. So it'll definitely be interesting. So I mean, we've covered running back, we've covered receiver, we've covered tight end, we've covered quarterback. So that leaves us with nothing else to do other than to try to make some money. So let's head on over to FanDuel and let's figure out, for let me grab my phone here, so I can go ahead and set this lineup on mine as well, because I haven't actually set any lineups this weekend. So this will be the first one I've done. So FanDuel, how we making money this weekend?
So we touched on a few different things. We're gonna play it. We're gonna stack some. We're gonna have some weird stacks, man. Like this is gonna be one of those weird stacks weeks. Like I mentioned earlier, I really like that Minnesota Chargers game.
Right.
And normally we like to double stack with our quarterback, but this one's gonna be a little bit different on FanDuel. So we're gonna go Herbert at quarterback.
Okay.
With Mike Williams, and we're gonna bring it back with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson.
Oh, okay. So paying up at the wide receiver position this week.
We're gonna pay up a wide receiver this week.
Okay.
There's a ton of value at running back. This one right here, I was looking at some stats from 2019 when Kamara was out, when Mark Ingram was the running back for New Orleans, and he went off like in at his price tag of 5,500. Even if he doesn't quite get there, I think he can easily hit 15 points with the volume he should see. So we're gonna have Mark Ingram as the first running back.
Okay.
And man, I'm on record right here. The Lions are going to get their first win of the season this week.
Well, really?
The Lions are going to upset the Steelers this week.
Oh, I mean, look, you called the Jets upsetting the Titans, and I thought you were crazy. So
I think it's fallen in place. Pittsburgh is not. They're winning games. Like they should have lost against the Bears. Like the Bears should have won that game. There was some bad calls in there. Pittsburgh's coming off a short week. The Lions are coming off a bye. I think this is they pull off an upset, and I've got DeAndre Swift in the second running back spot. Jamal Williams, I believe, I don't know if they've ruled him out completely.
I believe he has been ruled out. Yeah,
it's DeAndre Swift's backfield.
Yeah,
and he is one of those players too. Like we mentioned, Prescott. He's kind of hard for DeAndre Swift to fail because if they're winning, he's getting the ball. If they're losing, they're still throwing him the ball. And Jared Goff's ADOT is god awful.
Yeah, you can't game script Swift out of a game.
You can't.
He's involved regardless.
Yes. So we got him in the second RB spot. We're gonna have Marvin Jones, a wide receiver. He was one of our sleepers.
At the flex.
Yeah, you can put him in the flex or Jefferson.
Okay.
Or Thielen.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then at tight end, we're going to go with Mr. Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
And then the Buffalo Bills defense. So you got.
Wow, you get to play all of that and still get to put in the Bills. That's crazy.
That's the Mark Ingram discount this week on FanDuel.
No kidding. Wow. Okay, I like it.
One thing I will say about that, for if you're playing large field tournaments and you have access to kind of before kickoff, kind of put into perspective, like who is going to be most owned. There's going to be three guys at the running back position. It's going to be very popular, and it's going to be Ingram, Singletary, and Dearness Johnson. Kind of put yourself in position where you think one of those three guys is going to be the less owned out of those three and play that guy. And I at this time, I think Ingram will come in at least under Dearness Johnson. And I think just based on 2019 statistics and him knowing that offense, I think he is a route to go.
Yeah, there's definitely some familiarity there, for Ingram for sure that can't be discounted without a doubt. All right, I like it. So what are we doing on the DraftKings side?
DraftKings is always a ton of fun. So with DraftKings, I mentioned that I've got Detroit with the upset. But I am going to play it. I'm going to do an onslaught, which is something I normally don't do, but we're going to have a total of 4 Steelers in one lineup.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is for a large field tournament only. I would not play in a small field tournament, but I would have Roethlisberger at quarterback, Deontay Johnson. There's Chase Claypool is already rolled out for the week.
Right.
I would have Pat Fryermuth
Yeah.
as
Oh
a
yeah.
tight end, and Najee Harris at the flex position.
Yeah, I think Najee's going to absolutely smash this weekend.
I do too. I think that game is going to be close. I think the Lions can squeak this thing out. And then running back Mark Ingram and DeAndre Swift again. This is a salary saver, and good Lord, if this guy can ever just score a touchdown. Jacoby Myers.
It's got to happen eventually.
It's every week. Rounding the list off with Mike Williams as our third wide receiver and the Philadelphia Eagles defense. So you got Ben Roethlisberger, Mark Ingram, DeAndre Swift, Jacoby Myers, Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, Fryermuth, Najee Harris, and the Eagles defense.
Okay. All right. Very nice. I like it.
Yeah, an onslaught. That's those are always fun.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if it hits, man, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of lineups looking like that. So
nope, makes it completely unique.
Right. All right. Anything else you want to discuss, touch on anything before we wrap this thing up?
No, get well, Landon.
Yeah.
Let's have a good Sunday, boys.
Yeah, hopefully we have a good Sunday, and then next week we're back at full strength with the whole team. So, all right. Well, if you're still with us, we appreciate you guys for hanging out this weekend. Hopefully, it's a successful week 10 with your season-long leagues and with the DFS. Hopefully you make some money. Hopefully you collect some more wins in season-long, and week 10 is good to you and your teams. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. As always, the first and foremost, the thing is, thank you guys for listening. We're pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found. So Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever the case may be. We would appreciate if you guys could go over there and follow or subscribe or whatever that platform wants you to do. Then if you want the visuals to go with the audio, we are on YouTube as well at the Amateur Experts Podcast. If you could go over and subscribe to the channel there. Whenever you do subscribe, be sure to click the little bell that pops up. So you can be notified of all the most recent podcasts. We put up at most like 2 episodes a week. So we're not blowing your phone up, but you will be aware whenever they pop up so that you can hopefully, be one of the first to listen and make yourself some money. And then while you're here, if you are listening on YouTube, we'd appreciate if you could like the video and then comment down below and let us know, guys, you're high on this week, guys, you're not so high on, if you agree, disagree with anything that we said. First and foremost, we like the interaction. We like to hop in the YouTube comments and continue the discussion there. And then, of course, the likes and the comments and stuff do help us out with YouTube. So any support is appreciated, but we appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Good luck in week 10, and hopefully things are good for you, and then we will see you guys in week 11.